Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today's November 9th Add-ins community call. We have quite a few things on the agenda today, so I will quickly go over them. So first, we'll be starting out by going over working with partial documents in PowerPoint. We will then proceed to introduce new content control enhancements in Word Online, and also discuss a search bar for Office add-ins functionality. So our presenters today will be John Teichman, who's a principal product manager at Microsoft, Onur Onder, who's a senior software engineer, Maja Dumjanic, who's also a senior product manager, and Adrian Wu, who is a senior product manager as well. And with that being said, I will hand it off to John and Onur to start their presentation.
Okay, thanks a lot. And welcome everybody. Good morning or good evening and afternoon, wherever you are. We'll start off by describing why we're doing partial docs in the first place, and then give you just a metaphorical example of how it works. And then Onur will take you through kind of the implications for add-in developers, so you guys know and can be prepared. The time horizon for this is pretty far out, but we just wanted to get this out in front of you early, but mid next year at the earliest. So just kind of, get your input, let you know what's coming, and we'll go from there. So first of all, the reason we're doing this is that we've observed that PowerPoint file sizes are growing exponentially, and this is due to a trend in storytelling where video is becoming increasingly important, and the formats for video are becoming increasingly large in size. So with HD video and high-res imagery, etc., for storytelling, we've observed a growth in the size of files. And you can see that on the right-hand chart. It says file size over time. You can see that from 2017 to 21, the trend is, we're getting much larger file sizes. So we believe this is going to increase, and download speeds are not keeping up with the file size. So, even with enhancements in networking and, just the realities and the physics of transporting bits, don't bode well for opening very large files over, through the cloud. You can see in the chart below, this is 2021 data, but it's representative. And the global medium speeds for downloads for a 319 megabyte file, you can see even if it was a perfect world and there was no time required for us to prepare the document and open it and send it to you, just the download speed alone, it would take 44 seconds to open on a desktop, and even worse on a mobile, up in the range of 90 seconds. So when you consider these kind of factors, it really necessitates a new approach. We can't, keep customers waiting when they're trying to open and collaborate on their documents. So what we did was an analysis of how the components of PowerPoint files, and you can see that on the chart on your right here. It's on the bottom right. It says file size buckets. I apologize for it being a little bit small to read in the Teams, but basically the takeaway from this one is that the blue is video and the yellow is imagery. So the majority, the overwhelming majority of the size of files comes from video and imagery. So that leads us to partial docs. Now, I'm going, this is a little bit secret sauce, so I'm going to describe it to you using a metaphor here. So bear with me. We'll describe partial docs with your favorite cheeses to get the idea across. In the database, we're now storing the document as parts. If you think about it in the old way, we used to store it as the full brick of cheese. And to get that cheese to you, we would have to download that whole big thing. But now what we do is we break it up into slices and we store it in the database as such. So it's a completely different method for storage and transport. And what that allows us to do is give you the whole functional presentation very quickly. So as you saw in the chart earlier, the large part is images and video. So we're starting with video, But imagine this little piece of cheese, all the holes are the video. So you're going to get a working PowerPoint document that you can collaborate on very, very fast. And basically it will be functional. And what will happen in the background as you continue to collaborate is the holes will be filled in as you work. So in the background, the video will continue to load, and you'll basically end up with the entire presentation, but with the benefit of having been able to get in and edit and do your work early. So the big benefits are you're going to be able to download your documents very quickly. This benefit will become more apparent the larger the file size, the media size in the file. Your time to edit and collaborate and present in a PowerPoint presentation will be substantially improved as a result. And your co-auth performance and stability will be enhanced. So I'm not sure if any of you are familiar, but like if you load a large video file in a collab session today, things will lock up, and you'll just kind of be on hold for a little bit until it's done. Whereas this will allow everything to kind of go asynchronously in the background. So that's the concept. Now, with that, I'll hand it over to Owner to take you through the implications for add-in developers, because obviously if there's deferred content and you have an add-in that's calling a piece of deferred content, you're going to need ways to interact with that and wait until it's available. So Owner, do you want to take it from here?
Thank you, John. Thanks for the nice introduction. That's true, correct. Yeah. So everything that impacts the object model world is kind of explained in this documentation page, which you can reach from this link. And it has a bunch of information and examples on how this affects the operation of these object model calls. This affects both Visual Basic, COM add-ins, and as well as Office.js add-ins. And for the main part, actually, is one of the main properties of the presentation is presentation is a fully downloaded property. You can reach to the documentation from this link, and here is a sample example on this. For example, when the add-in calls active presentation is fully downloaded, this checks if everything on this presentation is fully downloaded or not. And note that a presentation might have everything fully downloaded, and another co-authoring user might have added another video file, which will make this false, which will start returning as false. So from the add-in world, they can understand the state of the document, whether it's fully downloaded, whether everything is there or not. However, what happens when you try to act on those incomplete objects is something like this. For example, a copy operation requires the object to be fully there. If it's not, then it will throw an exception, actually throw an error. In this case, you can look at the error code and understand that this error is due to the incompleteness of this object. So something in this slide, for example, will throw this error. But it will only throw this error if something in that slide is missing. There might be other video objects that are not fully downloaded in other slides like slide 5, 6, but only if slide 1, here in this example, if it's missing, then this will throw this error. And here are the complete list of object model calls which are affected by this change. Most of them require a fully downloaded object. For example, a presentation save as operation requires the entire presentation to be there. Otherwise, it will not be able to save anything, save the entire presentation as expected. Whereas a shape also requires its own properties to be there. A shape may contain a media part, an image, or a video part. Until those are fully there, this operation will not succeed. And this is the only operation in PowerPoint Office.js API side, get file async, similar to save as. It allows you to download the file or the document. Note that the current Office.js documentation is not yet updated, but it will be with the upcoming changes. We know this is a large change, and we may possibly break some existing COM-based add-ins. We would like to give some heads up before it goes live, and we would like to get some feedback from you if you have any concerns or any other questions. You can send your comments and questions to this PPT partial docs feedback email address. And thank you very much for listening. Back to you, Pritika.
Great. Thank you, John and Owner. That was an awesome presentation. Moving forward, Maja will now be going over content control enhancements in Word Online.
Hey. So hi, everyone. I'm part of the Word team, focusing on Word extensibility. Me and my team, we're basically trying to make Word a better host app for all of applications and for all app developers out there. To start, just a quick recap on what content controls are. I know many of you or most of you are probably familiar, but bear with me for a little bit. So content controls are basically Word entities that act as containers for specific content in a document. As such, they're ideal for creating structured documents like templates or forms. They help you fix position of the content, specify the type and the kind of the content, restrict or enable editing, and you name it. The typical usage scenario we've been seeing is that end users create Word documents using the templates with some placeholders where all of those templates are provided by the add-ins. The end users then edit those placeholders, customize them, and they typically save back to whatever the company's document management system is. Sometimes this is also done in a collaborative manner, even real-time co-authoring manner. The full list of content controls, which is here in the slide, is supported as of Word 2013, so for quite some time. A little bit about creating content controls. The easiest way is obviously through the UI, using the developer tab and ribbon. For scenarios which require automation, they can also be created and modified programmatically using APIs. Now, all that I've mentioned is for the content controls capabilities in Word desktop app. Because for Word Online, the situation is a bit different. Word Online does not support developer tab, so it's not possible to add new content controls that way. But for documents which do contain content controls, which are authored some other way, the situation is as follows. So for viewing, most of the content control types will be rendered as expected. There are some minor gaps where rendering is partially supported, but in, let's say, majority of the cases, everything will be just fine. Now, when it comes to editing, here is where the differences become bigger. The only type of content controls which is supported for editing is rich text content control. And if we look at the situation at summer of this year, of 2022, it was not even fully supported, meaning there was still some gaps if we go and compare it to what's the situation in Word Desktop Client. When it comes to programmatic access, the state is obviously you can only work with content controls in Word Online through Office.js, and the only supported type of content controls is the rich text content control. Now, all of that being said, some of you may remember we were asking you to fill in a survey about structured document authoring. This was sometimes end of the summer. I don't remember which month exactly it was. But we also then shared some preliminary results we got from the survey. And in fact, based on the feedback collected through this channel, through some other channels as well, we were looking at the GitHub issues, we were looking at all of the feedback shared in all of the places. We picked a first set of content control improvements to tackle in Word Online. And this is what's new in Word Online. So, looking at all of the feedback, we realized rich text content controls are by far the most used and the most popular ones. So it made sense to start with actually improving the existing support for it, rich text content controls. What that means is we wanted to improve the parity between what's possible in the desktop client and what's possible in Word Online. And the things that you see listed are just some of the enhancements we did for rich text. So we started with making parity with select delete operations between online and desktop. We added support for editing content controls inside tables, which was one of the pretty common scenarios we've been hearing about. We added support for editing of empty content controls. We enhanced the support for manipulating of inline content controls. And there were many other smaller things that we did based on all of the feedback we got and all of the issues that were floating around on GitHub. And this was our first step. As the next step, we added support for plain text content controls editing. Now, this one is actually just starting to roll out to production. So everything I mentioned for the rich text content control, that's already available and out there, and you are welcome to try it out. The support for plain text is just starting the rollout to production, so it should be available to some people, but it's going to be available for everyone in the coming weeks. And these are the things that are already out there. Now, we're not going to stop there, so we have some additional things in the pipeline. We will continue doing the enhancements on both rich text and plain text content control support. Our goal is, as I mentioned, to get to full parity between online and desktop. Some of the next big things that are coming are support for cut, copy, and paste operations, and then support for hidden content controls. And one of the larger additional items that's also in the pipeline is support for track changes for content controls. So those are the things that we wanted to share with you. We wanted to let you know what are the things which are already out there. We encourage you to try it out if you use content controls and your add-ins depend on them. And we would like to keep getting your feedback. The survey that we mentioned, it's still out there. It's open, you can still participate. Please do let us know what would you like to see next in this area. What are the things that you're using? What are the things that you're missing? Feel free to leave your contact details if you would like to talk to us. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to interact over chat. Okay, Priska, back to you.
Great. Thanks, Maja. That was a great presentation. Moving forward, Adrian, would you like to start presenting?
Okay, no problem. Okay, let's get started. So, hi, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adrian, and I'm the product manager from the Office platform team. And I'm currently in charge of the adding discoverability across WXP. So it's been a really nice chance to be able to share with you like some of our latest progress these days. So as you know that we have been trying to improve the overall discoverability of the whole adding ecosystem these days, and in hope that with more and more like users, they get to know about like what add-ins can do for them, and we can really build the whole ecosystem bigger together. So we would like to share with you like one of our latest feature today, like that users are now being able to search for their add-ins from the search box on the top of the WXP. So actually the scenario, just as what we, the screenshot that we show, is actually quite straightforward and simple, but we believe that this could really help like lots of users with their current experience. As we know that as one of part of the feature that adding developers, they can specify like their adding placement on the ribbon today. So we see like some of the developers would choose to, like for example, like build their own like tabs to host like their add-ins, and also like some of the add-ins are choose to be included in the like home tab or for example insert tab. But in the meanwhile, we often get like users are asking about like where do they can actually find their add-ins, because like there's currently no easy way for them to locate where these add-ins are about, and they have to go like check each tabs one by one. So we want to provide user and like a very easy and straightforward way for they to find their add-ins. So that's what we're doing today. The scope of this feature will be across Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and across the online and Windows endpoints. And users can search from the TellMe service, which is the search box of their already installed add-ins, which will be like, for example, some add-ins they installed it by themselves before, or some add-ins that was central deployed by their admins. And we will keep releasing these features and starting from Word Online, and then Excel, and then for the other endpoints. For the detail, like experience detail, here I would like to point out like since these days, like there's actually like multiple ways we can open we can start using an add-in. Like to be more specific, like some add-ins, if they only have one task pane or they only have like one, they have set their default task pane, and after users search it from the search box, they can have a experience that click and then launch the task pane directly. And this will be our recommended way. But for some add-ins, if they have multiple task pane, then today we will only navigate users to the ribbon tab. And since like we are like keep improving the user experience, and in the future we will have like more and more like this kind of like click and launch experience. So we will also like to use this chance to recommend, like if that's your case, that we can find a default task pane as a main entrance, we will highly recommend you to try to configure a default task pane. So in the future, it will like provide the user with better user experience. And I also leave the link here. So if you're interested about, okay, how can I configure a default task pane, you can scan the QR code or use the link that I will put in the chat box like soon. Yeah, so that's basically about my sharing today. And if you have any questions, you can leave in the chat. Yeah, okay, so give back to Priscilla.
Awesome. Thanks, Adrian. Okay, we will now be moving on to the Q&A portion. So we got our questions relatively late, so we haven't had a chance to track down the answers, so they'll be put into the blog post. But just for context, one of the questions was, my clients want Outlook on-send add-in to be available in AppSource. AppSource currently does not allow on-send add-ins. When will AppSource accept on-send add-ins? So we'll find this answer and then place it into the blog post, so be on the lookout for that. This one was a bit longer, so I'm not going to read the full question, but it will be in the PowerPoint file. Also, that will be in the blog post for anyone interested. But the gist is that they have enabled SSO by registering the app in AAD. From the Outlook app, it's getting authenticated and landing to the Razor page. And they were just curious if there's any difference when loading from the app and from the browser. So once again, if you are new to the Office Add-ins community call, here are some links in terms of our documentation, quick starts, and samples, and a few other things that might be helpful to get started. To engage with the team, if you have typical technical questions about Office Add-ins, feel free to go to this link right here, aka.ms Office Add-ins Dev Questions or Stack Overflow. If you have bugs, submit an issue in the Office.js GitHub page. And for feature requests and ideas, we have a M365 Dev Suggestions page. And we have a few different calls that you can also attend if you're interested in these topics. Feel free to join those as well. And thank you. The recording will be available in 24 hours. We'll have a blog post out as well, and our next call will be December 14th at 8 a.m. And feel free to leave any questions prior to the call if you would like them answered before. Thank you.